Sylvia Plath as the Queen of Darkness vying for power? Perhaps, but maybe it's something more commonplace than that. Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I am Adrian Ford, and we are here for the 14th in a 274-part series, journeying, pardon me, poem by poem through Sylvia Plath's Big Yellow Book. Now, this poetry discussion will appear in the poetry discussion playlist as well as the Sylvia Plath read along playlist here on the channel. This is for Vanity Fair by Sylvia Plath. So we're going to do a poetry reading and then we're going to get into discussion of what is going on here. Now, I have to admit, for some reason, Sylvia Plath trips me up. I cannot read this poem silently without stuttering, so we're going to just see how this goes. One word. I got one word in. Let's try this again. Through frost thick weather, this witch sidles, fingers crooked as if caught in a hazardous medium that might merely be its continuing, attach her to heaven. Merely by its continuing. Through frost thick weather, this witch sidles, fingers crooked as if caught in a hazardous medium that might, merely by its continuing, attach her to heaven. At eye's envious corner, crow's feet copying, veining on a stained leaf. Cold squint steals sky's color, while brute of bells calls holy ones. Her tongue backtalks at the raven. Cleaving furred air over her skull's midden, no knife rivals her whetted look, divining what conceit waylays simple girls church-going, and what heart's oven craves most to cook batter rich in strayings, with every amorous oaf ready for a trinket, to squander owl hours on bracken bedding, flesh unshriven. Against virgin prayer, this sorceress sets mirrors enough to distract beauty's thought, lovesick at first fond song, each vain girl's driven to believe beyond what heart's flare no fire is, nor in any book proof. Sun hoists soul up after lids fall shut. So she wills all to the Black King, the worst sloven vies, with best queen over, right to blaze as Satan's wife. Housed in earth, those million brides shriek out. Some burn short, some long, staked in pride's oven. I'm going to put this here just as a bookmark real quick. But this poem is begging for your eyes. This poem is begging you to see things. Look here, look there, see this, what about that? We are even driven towards the witch's appearance. Fingers crooked. We see that, don't we? Crow's feet. We see that, don't we? Squint. We see that, don't we? We are looking at all of these, even in her description of auditory things, we're given an image. Her tongue backtalks the raven. We are given a way to look at this individual who is whetted look, divining what conceit. This individual's looks are very much in question. This is vanity. Meanwhile, we are talking about a witch. Now, you and I both know there's no such thing as witches. Probably you and I both know that. Though many young women go through a witch phase, so maybe you're here to argue on behalf of witches. I can't be sure. But this is metaphorical. Plath hasn't suddenly started writing horror stories. So what's the metaphor? What's the metaphor that we're here discussing? It's worth, I think, at this point, taking a gander back up here at the beginning. Vanity Fair. Now, these two words, vanity and fair, suggest something on their own. Vanity is concern with looks. At a fair, you go to celebrate, you go to observe, you go for revelry. This is a fair of the vain. Okay, great. It also shares this title with a William Thackeray novel, which is about superficiality among the elites. That's just sort of the generally accepted idea of what Vanity Fair, the novel, is about. Sort of on the most, ironically, surface level, I guess. But if you are using that same title, you're either writing a piece with the same message, or you were using it ironically to point out something quite the opposite. I think we're, instead of pointing out something ironic, using it in line with what Thackeray did. So we are looking towards the superficiality of something considered elite. We are looking at the superficiality of something that is valued. So I want to look at the last three stanzas in this poem. Against virgin prayer, this sorceress sets mirrors enough to distract beauty's thought. Lovesick at first, fond song, each vain girl's driven to believe beyond heart's flare, no fire is, nor in any book proof. Sun hoists soul up after lids fall shut. So she wills all to the Black King. The worst sloven vies with the best queen over right to blaze as Satan's wife. Housed in earth, those million brides shriek out. Some burn short, some long, staked in pride's coven. So we're talking about Satan here, not Lucifer. And I think there is something slightly different when opining to Satan versus Lucifer. Lucifer, Luciferian, the rising light. The Lucifer has been used to really sort of point to vanity by a different type of mean. Luciferian vanity seems more to be about overstating one's value and intelligence, but there are value and intelligence present. Lucifer was very, very bright, was very intelligent, and thought that he was worth more than the Creator. Now, I think that the common parlance sees this a little bit different than Satan. Satan, in my opinion, is more about value through trickery and appearance. While there is something more valid, perhaps, to Luciferian appeal, satanic appeal is almost magical. Magical like a witch. So we have all of the witches vying for Satan's hand here, vying for the throne of power through deception. And there are obvious sort of biographical distinctions, biographical correlations to be had here with Sylvia Plath and her relationships. But I think so. So if you were looking to get an A on a paper, that's the route you should go. But I think that there is something more sort of general to be had here. There is something more interesting, slightly deeper or more askew than that. If Satan and witches are about power through deception, then this poem is about assuming power in a couple through deception. The male in this duo, in this tryst, in this sort of struggle, seems to be of import, right? Satan and witches. Satan and the multiple witches struggling to be Satan's wife. Maybe that is neither here nor there, but one thing that is interesting about it is that, especially in Plath's world, we're going a little bit back in time, the male was really the head of the relationship. It was, the status was with the man. The status was with the man, predominantly. But isn't this a little bit all relationships? Now, no matter who the two parties are, if there is one with status and one without, isn't this a little bit like all relationships? Assuming that all of us, all of us at some point in life, at least some point in life, have some level of imposter syndrome. We don't believe we know anything about what we're talking about, and we look around and we think everybody else has all this stuff figured out. So now, by the way, they don't, but in order to go through our day, today, we have to assume the sort of look of knowing what in the wild hell we're doing. We feel that's a lie. We feel we are lying in that. Probably we are. But we don't know that everyone else is as well. So this dynamic of the witches each witch, I should say, trying to win the hand of Satan, trying to project into the world this idea of authority, this idea that we, this power couple, we know what we're doing. Is that not the story of every relationship? No one knows what we're doing, but through deception, we might sort of convince others that we do. And it takes someone as twisted, perhaps, as Sylvia Plath, to really put it in these terms. This is every relationship. This is every intimate relationship, no matter who the parties are, no matter how the parties are identified or define themselves. None of us really know what we are doing. So we all take on this face of deception every day. Does that make us Satan and the witches? Maybe. That is all I have for this, the 14th in a 274-part series, journeying poem by poem through Sylvia Plath. If you like or appreciate what I do on the channel, hitting the like button really does help me out. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button to come back for more. There's poetry every Monday. I also do short story read-alongs and novel read-alongs to boot, and I hope to have you back for the next one.